Gemini, welcome. So it's Erin Scott here, and we are going to tap in with some, essentially an art channeling. We're going to see what wants to come through. This is in regards to the Gemini narrative, so the natural evolutionary cycle of the Gemini egoic growth, okay? So let's start to tap in. As I've told the other signs, I don't pre-plan these, so there's no image in my mind yet. We're going to just see what wants to come through for you, okay? You're going to hear some rain in the background. It's actually snowing out, but it's not rain, it's actually dripping snow. So it's warm, it's snowing, and there's melting snow. So it's raining, melting snow outside. It's fabulous. So you might hear it. It's also gusting wind. So I hope you're all doing well. I'm recording this the day after our Aquarius new moon that was highly aspected. So if you haven't seen my video on the dynamics of this particular new moon cycle, which is not just for the month, the new moon month, but for the 6-month period of this eclipse cycle, and for this particular 18-19 year cycle on a grander scale. So let's see what wants to come for you. And I'm just going to tap in, Gemini, and then we'll talk about it, okay? I'm going to focus a little bit. So grab your tea, a glass of wine if you'd like. So life is form. Life is form. Life is the field, and out of which emerges material form. But every form has shape and function. And so it's interesting to see what symbols, pictures, narratives want to emerge for the different signs. I went and got some new colors this last month for these art scopes. But what I was going to say earlier is I hope you're all doing well. It has been an intense portal, an intense week, and today actually is Chinese New Year. So we actually begin the year of the dog, the year of the earth dog. So there is indeed new cycles on all sorts of levels that are coming into play. And my clients are feeling it, I'm feeling it, perhaps you are too. Let's see. So Gemini, I'm going to talk about this. Let me go ahead and finish, but start to tap into, because these forms are going to speak to you individually in a way that's important for you. So what I would say is you want to trust your own interpretations, because this is a general reading. So it's tapping into the general arc of the Gemini narrative, which is very natural. Everything has its natural arc of evolution, including the Gemini arc, the Taurus arc, the Aries arc, all of the signs. But your specific chart, though, your encoding, your soul print, as I call it, is distinct. And so you're going to pick up on nuances to what's coming forward in a very distinct way that is very specific for you, relevant for you, and will help you navigate and become empowered in taking the reins of your process, the process of your growth. Okay, Gemini. So let's take a look at it, Gemini. There might be more that wants to come. I'm also going to pull a card for you. We're going to look at the guidance for you during this time, but let's take a look at what this is talking about. The first thing that came was this kind of line down from the top, arced, curved, malleable, movable, not strict and rigid, but coming down and dividing the page. And it continued with this line here after we did this green section of hatch marks. So what I want to say is there's a division. Okay, so during this course of time, I always do these with the new moon. I always have done the alchemy scopes with the new moon. So here we are with this Aquarian new moon that started on the 15th of February, going to the middle of March. During this particular journey, but keep in mind, this is imbued with the partial solar eclipse as well. So it's not only the powerfully aspected Aquarius new moon cycle that has the 6-month arc of narrative, a year long, and also kind of an 18-19 arc of narrative happening, but it was also this eclipse, which talks about that longer narrative of evolution. So there's these big narratives here, but this month you're going to be feeling a distillation of it, I think. Here, though, there's a division. And then it met with this boundary, a horizon line, with this kind of spiral. Not quite a spiral, a partial spiral, almost like an upside down question mark. There's something moving through you. That's what I get. Over the course of the cycle, there's something activated within you that's creating some division. And you can see that there's these quadrants of your image, very different than the other ones that I've done. On this side, what ended up emerging is yellow, the color yellow, which represents emanation, will, the ego. It's our personality. And it's almost like there's something coming out. You're emerging maybe in a new way. Now the finger with the ring definitely came. It came last, but it came in this quadrant. So there could be that with regards to a partnership that you're in, And by the way, what I would say is not just spousal, but it could be any kind of committed partnership in a love relationship or even in a business relationship, Gemini. But there's some partnership here where you are feeling good energy, you're energized, you're moving forward with it. There's an arc of joy here with a committed partnership this month. So that's kind of one aspect of your month. If we go down here, it's interesting because it's hard to see probably on the camera, but this is green. It's like a sage green. And for here, it just wanted to fill the space, but then there were hatch marks that came down. So what I get from this is there's growth. Green represents growth. It also represents healing. So for some of you that have had any kind of issues with health, mental, emotional, or physical, maybe there's some movement, but because there's these hatch marks in it, it might feel like there's healing or there's growth happening in some way, shape, or form. And keep in mind, this is happening underneath this. But with the hatch marks, you know, there's some challenge too. It's not like it's an easy road necessarily. It has its growth edges, and that's what I get from this. So there might be some growth happening with regards to, let's say, some relationship or a partnership that is joyful for you over the course of this cycle. And there's some, let's say, you know, challenges. Not necessarily obstacles, though. I don't get that at all. It's almost like day-to-day, you know, there's day-to-day things. Lots on your mind, lots activated, lots to do, you know. So there's dreams and plans here, and then there's lots to do. It's almost like this is the logistics of it, but it's necessary for the growth. That's what I'm getting. The upside down, again, when I was drawing this, I was kind of feeling like, okay, upside down question mark, as it was coming. So what I want to say with that is, maybe you used to question certain things that are activated this month. You used to question them prior to now, prior to this mid-February to mid-March cycle. But over the course of this cycle, perhaps it is turning around and you're starting to feel a little more solid with it. Because if we look at it, it's almost like this is the horizon line of a soil line. This is almost like a root, like a tap root, arced, but a tap root. And then it's leading up to perhaps some sort of a growth. This is leading, by the way, to this finger of the partnership, the ringed partnership. So there is some growth happening with a partner, or that you'd like to have build with a partner. And again, I think for some of you this is not necessarily marriage or love. I think this is business and other things happening. It's going to be different for all of you. But what used to be question is now becoming growth. It's now happening. There's emergence happening. With regards to this one, it's interesting because this is essentially what came up as an arc, and then it kept coming down. So there's movement, but it's positive. Why? Because it's almost like the arc of a smile. It's an upturned arc. And it's happening, it's happening, it's happening, but it's bringing joy, whatever it is, on this side of your life. So on this side, there's growth happening, things to do with it, but there's growth happening, perhaps with a business partnership or a love relationship. That's also a business partnership or a love relationship. But there's growth, there's emergence, and there's a lack of questioning or more growth-oriented perspective. There's more of an optimism is what I get this month. Here it's interesting though, because what I get here is that there's optimistic movement, a little bit of back and forth, almost like a pendulum swing, okay? So there's, on this side of your life, there's a little back and forth. It might be too with learnings and understandings. This particular color is actually more of almost like a rust color. It's almost like a sepia brown, but it comes off as orange, you know, kind of an orangey color. And orange does reflect the qualities and the energies of new learning, education. There might be some new learnings, new experiences happening where it's taking you a bit back and forth. You're assimilating and you're expressing. You're bringing it in and you're letting it affect and impact you on a deep level. The other thing that I get from this image, interestingly enough, and you're not all going to see it, but it almost looks like a dress for me. And almost like this is like the neckline, and then here's like the bottom portion of the dress. And so I don't even know what that could mean, Gemini. For some of you, this is going to be something to do with fashion or creative endeavors. For others of you, it's going to be about a matter of image. How you wear yourself out to the world. That might be of some concern or focus for some of you. So how you present yourself might be, and it could be because there's growth happening here. There's growth, there's details to take care of, and your image might in fact be what you're focused on over the course of this cycle. It is a cycle of new birth for all of us. So indeed, there could be some new imagery, imaging, visualizing, and visualized self that you want to bring forward. Up here, this is a flower. Certainly, I mean, it's not the best representation of a rose, but what I get from that is it's a rose. The leaf has these kind of spikes on it. So it's almost like this. Let's say something emerges, something grows. You grow something over the course of this cycle. That's what I get. There's something that you bring to fruition, something that comes to completion, something that blooms over the course of the cycle. And you can see that the yellow wanted to emanate out from the heart of this flower. And that, of course, is reflecting over here. So I do think that for some of you, there is some business project that is growing. It's with a partnership. Your image is involved, but there is some manifested reality that comes to fruition. It's not the whole, because there's lots to do and there's more to come. But there's energy and joy, there's growth happening, and indeed something that you bring forward in the world over the course of the cycle starts to emanate out its joy. That's what I get, Gemini. So let's take a look. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to tap in. This is what I used to do with the alchemy scopes when I used to do them in the past. I'm going to pull a Carolyn Mace archetype card to look at the core growth edge for you over the course of this very dynamic cycle. At the start of what will promise to be a very dynamic, maturation-oriented year, 3 years, 5 years. So for Gemini, let's take a look at what the core growth edge is for you for the now. Look at that, Gemini, artist. I love it, because for those of you that it does apply, whether it's fashion design or something else aesthetic, something is coming to fruition and it is emanating joy outwardly. So Gemini, let's take a look. So the shadow attributes, what is it that wants to be transmutated over the course of the now? Using talent as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist to elicit pity. I love that, because that's just, it's just a narrative. That's just a narrative. What wants to evolve is expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. Beautiful. So indeed, there's something emerging here, Gemini, for you. For some of you, it is going to be creative. Definitely the growth edge is to tap into your creative genius. You have it. And as I've told the other signs, with the art channeling, all of us are channels by our nature. So you are to channel your inner artist. Whatever creative juice wants to flow, Let it flow this month, Gemini. Wonderful. Okay, well, I am wishing you a wonderful month ahead. For those of you interested in your own personalized art channeling, or any of my catalyzing work that I do with clients, you're welcome to take a look at my website. The work that I do is called Holosynthesis, and it brings together different aspects of the living basis of your reality. So take a look at thealchemyofholism.com if you'd like to learn more. Much love. Bye-bye.